All right, so hi everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 13th of March, already 2019, our Fun Fit and Fabulous call. And today we're going to talk about finding your why. So I don't want to overly complicate this. What I thought would be really nice is for me to do a little bit about it. And then for us to, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and then I thought it would be really good for us to take some time to think, write down some notes, and start really connecting with our why. So like I've said, my why has changed, and then as such, then my goals, my short and my long-term goals will change. So it's really cool to kind of refresh this on a regular basis, because one of the things that they always say is, you know, your why should make you cry. Well, you know, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make you cry, but you really should be able to connect with it, I think. And if we really kind of dig deep and we can have that emotional connection to it, when we struggle, it's going to really help us. So sometimes it might seem that our why is really simple, and you know, we might just be like, I just want to lose the weight, I want to lose 10 pounds, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to feel more confident. But what we really need to do is go a little bit deeper into why that's important for us. So all of you know who have sort of signed up with me, when I talk to you and ask you, start asking you about your goals and why you want to do this, I always then go, well, why is that important? And why do you want to feel that way? And why? So really kind of, and this is exactly the reason why I kind of drill down into that. So, you know, it just means that on those hard days when we're having struggles, when, you know, we've had a really crappy day and we open the kitchen cupboard and we're staring in there and we're thinking, what can I eat? You know, it's at that point where we need to remember what our why really is. And that has to be bigger than our excuses. It has to be bigger than wanting, you know, that bar of chocolate or that packet of crisps. And it will help us, I guess, to make it easier for us to maybe make better decisions. So yeah, we need to have a really deep connection to our why, and that might be challenging, and that's okay. And we want to kind of think about that in terms of what our priorities are as well. So I have got reasons for why I want to do this, and like I said, they've changed. So when I started my journey 18 months ago, I purely thought it was all about losing the baby weight. That's all I thought it was. I was like, I just want to lose the baby weight. That's what's important to me. But then as I started working with my coach, and he was sort of saying, well, why is that important? Well, it was important to me because I couldn't get up from the floor. So I'd be on the floor playing with Lila and I couldn't get up. And then that was really challenging for me. And I felt really weak. And I thought, oh my God, like I just feel old. And whilst I'm not old, like, how old am I? I'm 33. I don't remember. Everyone's like, how old are you?
It's just me.
You know, although I'm not an old mum, I'm still 33, and I am a little bit older. There's a lot of mums that are sort of, you know, their mid-20s, and being 33, I am older than when I was 25. That's 8 years ago. So I'm really hot. Hold on. So, you know, it's, you know, for me, I want to be fit. I want to be able to run around with Lila. And yes, I want to feel comfortable in my skin. And, you know, but for now, my why has changed in that I haven't got, you know, I'm not sort of striving to lose another 10 pounds. My why has now changed to want to be a good example for Lila, want to be a good example for Nick. I want her to see me looking after myself in a hope that it will rub off, and then she won't get some of the terrible habits that I've managed to pick up along the way, like my sugar habit and addiction and my caffeine. So I also want to be energized. I don't want to feel tired, and I want to be around for Lila for as long as possible. Something that scares the absolute bejesus out of me, and I don't share this with many people, is that my family have quite a number of different health problems, and they are quite big, and it petrifies me that they won't be around that long for Lila. Like, that really, really scares me. And I don't want that to happen for me. And if I can then be a good example and they can see me being a good example, then I hope also that that will rub off on them. And I also want to set a good example for all you lovely ladies too. And I think that that's really, really important. And it's not to say that I don't have my struggles and that I don't have my challenges. We are all human, me most definitely so. But I do still, we do still need to connect to that, and we need to remember that. So that's all I wanted to really say. But I have a couple of questions. So I want you to think about these. We'll spend a couple of minutes going through them. You don't necessarily need to share them with us. If you want to, that's cool. And then what I do want you to do is make sure that you really go through this exercise, really think for yourself. If you need more time, if you're listening back to this on the recording, really spend some time working through these questions. Hit pause in between the questions if you need a little bit longer. And I really want you to then share these with your coach, because that's really, really important. And that's going to really help your coach connect with you, know where you're at, know what you want, and be able to help you the best way that they can. So first of all, I want you to really think about why you decided to start on your health and fitness journey. So really think about what was the reason why you decided to join. It could be any of the things I've already suggested. It could be losing a certain amount of weight. It could purely be about learning how to take charge of your nutrition. Maybe you don't know what's the right thing to eat. Maybe you just want to get fitter. Just going to pull up another document. Cool. So now you've written those few things down, I want you to look over what you've written down, and next to each of them, or underneath, you can number them however many you've written down. I want you to then think about why. So if you've written, I want to lose a stone, I want to lose 40 pounds, I want to lose 50 pounds, I want you to write down next to that, why do you want to lose that weight? Okay. So you can always come back to this, but what I want you to do with each of those things, so you might, for example, have written down, I really want, like, I want to lose 40 pounds. And I've asked you why. And you might say, well, because I want to feel more confident and happy. I then want you to think a step again. Well, why is that important? Well, I want this. And then, well, why do you want that? And keep asking yourself, why, until you find yourself saying the same thing. So it might be a bit of a strange thing to think about, but actually, the more times you ask yourself why, you will actually start to uncover more and more of the real reasons why you're trying to do this. And this is where we get into the crux. So I hadn't really realised that I was doing this to try and, well, I knew I wanted to be around for long for Lila, but I don't think I'd really connected with the reason that I wanted to rub off on my parents. And I also want to be around for my grandchildren and their grandchildren. Wouldn't that be awesome? It's really scary. It's a really freaky concept. But, I know that my parents won't probably be around for when Lila has kids. And that's really sad. So, not that I want to live forever, because I don't want to be Peter Pan, but, I want to be able to set that good example at the same time. And I didn't really connect with that until recently. So I think that that's something that's sort of quite interesting. So then another couple of things which I think are kind of really pertinent. I want you to think about next about what fears you have of hitting that, of achieving the reason for why you decided to do your journey. So it sounds a bit strange, but this is definitely something that I struggle with, and I do definitely self-sabotage. But really think about, if you achieve those goals, do you have any fear or any anxiety around what happens if you get to them? And what change are you afraid of, I guess?
Yeah. Oh yes. So like your blocks, basically.
Yeah, your blocks. So for me, I guess, one of the things that I often hear, and actually I can massively connect with, is that, well, I want to lose 2 stone. I wanted to lose 3 stone after I had Lila. I guess for me, I'm holding on. I'm not, I'd like to lose a couple more pounds. I'm not overly bothered. But I guess for me, there's kind of that fear of, well, when I get there, well, what next?
Yeah.
What happens? So something is holding me back from taking it to that next level. Because for me, I'm like, oh God, when I get there, I'm going to have to refocus and be like, right, well, my goal now isn't to lose weight. Shit. Like, I've always, for as long as I can remember, probably from when I was about 15, like, I've been on a diet, and I've yo-yo dieted, and I've gone up and down. And I know that that's why I've gone up and down now, whereas I didn't pick up on that before. It's because I was afraid of, well, what happens when I get to that goal weight that I want to be at. So this is why this is really important, because it will help uncover what is it that you want to do. At the same time, I also want you to have a bit of a think about, next question is, what will it feel like when you reach that goal? What will it feel like? You can do a bit of visualization on this. Definitely visualize your goals. Definitely visualize what it is that you want. And take some time to close your eyes, think about, what you'll do, what are you wearing? What do you do throughout the day? How do you feel? Who are you with? What's your energy levels like? How are your relationships with your family, with your friends, especially with your significant other? All of those things. That's a really, really lovely exercise to do, because in those moments when we're having struggles, in those moments when, we just want to dive for the candy, or, you know, in those moments, because this whole reason of why can relate to anything. It can be health and fitness, but it could also be in your business. So, you know, when you really want to give up, when you don't want to do whatever it is to work your business, you have to think about why you're doing it. You really do, and what it is that you want to achieve, and visualizing how your life will look like if you implement and make those changes. That will then help with that fear component for sure.
Yeah.
Then the next one I want you to think about is, what is the biggest obstacle that's getting in your way of your why? So you might say, you know, why are you doing this? I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, what's the biggest obstacle that gets in your way? Could be time. It could be you don't know what to do. It could be, I don't know, that you've got your family are fussy eaters. It could be that you don't know how to meal plan and meal prep. It could be that you've got a sugar addiction. It could be anything. It could be absolutely anything, because knowing and identifying those obstacles will mean that when and writing them down and putting pen to paper will mean that when they pop up, you'll remember that they're your obstacles, right? And you'll be like, this is one of those obstacles that I think is going to get in the way of me reaching my goals. So that is definitely something that you really, really want to do. And then I want you to think about, well, those are the obstacles. Well, how might I work around them? You know, you're the only one that can do that. You know, we're all here for support, for inspiration, for motivation, but we are the only ones that can really change. You know, I can't be in your kitchen, Vic, standing over you, forcing you to make your broccoli instead of your, I don't know, your plate of potatoes and pizza and whatever. You know, I can't physically do that. So it's really important that we understand, well, what are our struggles? It could be, you know, so for me, I really struggle on Wednesday and Thursday evenings, and Tuesday evenings, actually. Those 3 evenings after I've done a long day at work, I do not want to cook. And I know that one of the obstacles is us just having really easy, not great, nutritious, balanced food. So we eat things like scrambled eggs on toast. It's not terrible, but
no, it's not.
It's not, you know, or Nick might be like, oh, I'm just going to get a couple of microwave meals, processed salt. I won't go into that. So, you know, so that was one of my obstacles. So what did I do this week? Monday. Was it Monday? Yes, it was Monday. I got all of the veg out of the fridge that was left from last week, and I cooked the whole lot. I meal prepped. I didn't spend a huge amount of time. Nick got home, and in the half an hour whilst we were waiting for our dinner for Monday night to be cooked, I prepped 4 different types of vegetables, and we've had them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And now I've used all my vegetables from last week, and I haven't got to throw it away, because we end up wasting a lot of vegetables, because I'm like, nah, I can't be bothered to do that. So that's something that I decided to do on Monday. So it's about thinking, well, what are those obstacles and how might I get around those? That's a really helpful one. And then the last thing I want you to think about, which kind of relates into the obstacles as well, what we all need to do, you know, this isn't an easy ride for us. I love my chocolate. I love my wine. I love eating far too much at the weekend. Again, I know that I'm self-sabotaging there, and I know I've now realized that that's what I'm doing. So that kind of mental clarity is really important. But what we need to think about is we need to understand in our minds what we're willing to give up and what we're not willing to give up. So it might be that there are some things that aren't, you know, they're non-negotiable. So it might be that for whatever reason, you love your coffee, your morning coffee, you just love how that makes you feel in the morning. You're not going to give that up. Yeah. For me, it's wine. I am not going to give up wine. Mummy needs wine. So for me, that's a non-negotiable, but I have to learn how to enjoy it. So I have to learn what I am willing to give up and what I'm not willing to give up. So I am not willing to give up my wine, but I am willing to give up crisps. We can binge for Britain, like Nick loves crisps. We can also binge on so many other things. So we have to think about, for me, I want my wine. So if that's the case, if I'm going to have my wine, do I really need that and then a whole packet of chips? No. So I'm going to have my wine and I'm going to thoroughly enjoy my bloody wine. So it's about kind of getting that balance and knowing what's right for you. And, you might have a whole list of things that, that you feel that you've got deep roots with. It might be caffeine, it might be sugar, it might be pizza, whatever it is, it might be all of these things. It might be that you're not willing to do 6 days a week of exercise. That's fine. Well, are you willing to do 4? Brilliant. Commit to the 4, go in for the 4. It might be that, you know what, you're willing to give up cake, but you're not willing to give up ice cream. That's okay. That's a step in that right direction. And I think, this isn't about being good or bad. We've talked about that before. This is about you having it. It's part of your lifestyle. It's part of the journey. It's not a quick fix. It's not a diet. It is a lifestyle. And it's about, finding that balance. So that's really it. There's loads more questions, but I wanted to try and keep it fairly simple. Mm-hmm. The next thing to then do is to look at those and then start thinking about short-term and long-term goals. Now, we won't go into that too much today, because that we've spoken about this before, and you could speak about it for hours. But sometimes one of the things that I will say is that sometimes those long-term goals might seem really, really far away, and it might be really, really difficult to connect with those. If you've got a big goal, like look at our friend Chris, for example. His goal is so, for some people, the thought of losing 15 stone, he's lost 12 so far, but the thought of losing that amount of weight is so insurmountable. I know for my dad, that's really challenging. Like, they've told him he's got to lose a lot of weight. So for him, it's just seems so unattainable. I don't like smart objectives, remember. But it seems so unattainable that actually it's so daunting. So what do people do? They just go, oh, well, I can't be bothered. I don't know what to do. And you block it out. You mentally go, oh, it's too much. I can't think about it. So if that's you, that's cool. That's fine. Think about what goals you want to do this month, and what you want to do this week, what you want to do next week, what you want to do the week after, and break it up into tiny, tiny goals. And it will really, really help you move in that direction. For me, I find that quite daunting. Think about, well, where do I want to be this time next year? But what I can think about is where I want to be at for Summit, for example, which is in July. So I can then feel like, right, that's my goal for Summit, that's where I want to be. So what do I want to achieve before then? And breaking it up into bite-sized chunks. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I hope that was helpful.
It was.
Yeah, it was. Thank you.
Would either of you like to share anything? You don't have to, by the way.
Raven, do you want to go first?
No, you can.
Okay. So
you don't have to share everything, by the way. It's fine.
No, that's cool. So originally mine was, without kind of realising it, was to lose 40 pounds. Pretty close to that now. So my goal is going to be, my target's going to be like increased, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Lower weight but increase the poundage. Why did I decide to start? I'd had enough. I was sick of it. I was in a really bad place, actually, and I didn't want to make the same mistakes that I made the first time around postpartum. So I was like rewarding myself with cake for just even having had a baby. Well done to me. I need cake. And that's honest. So I didn't want to do the same thing. I'd really lost faith with the plan that I was on. I had to make a lot of changes for my baby in terms of dairy, etc. Saw your poll on Instagram, Hannah, and I was just like, I need to give myself the last go. I need to give myself, you know, as much of a chance as possible to improve mine and my family's life. So yeah, that's why I'd had enough, basically, and I wanted to do everything possible to change things. Okay, so fears for why, self-sabotage. Who even am I if I'm lighter? So I'm literally sitting here lighter than my wedding day, which, oh my god, it's nearly a stone lighter than, I'm 2 pounds away from a stone lighter than my wedding day. And I was happy on my wedding day, don't get me wrong, but I never thought that would happen. So it's almost like I'm going, a little like freak out every once in a while. What will it feel like? Oh my goodness. So I think I'd like to lower it by maybe 10 pounds or a stone, and that's like within the healthy range. So what will it feel like? Amazing, strong, energetic, positive, unstoppable. I've written unburdened, because I don't want to think about this shit anymore. Like, I want to think about it in terms of positive, you know, but I don't want to worry about any of it anymore, and that has lightened. So I want to feel lighter in mind and body. That was good, wasn't it?
I like that.
Lighter in mind and body. What's the biggest obstacle? I was going to write down me. Just me. Me.
All of me.
But I did write down time, meal plan, meal prep, sugar addiction, brain fog is a big one for me. I find that kind of blocks me. Priorities. So making sure that I prioritise myself and, you know, all that stuff. How might I work around it? I need to plan. I need to learn how to plan. I'm not good at it, so I need to learn how to plan. Eat meals in the freezer, find the pockets of time, get up earlier when, like, I've had a good night with the baby.
Yeah.
Because I can't do everything.
No.
What am I willing to give up? Chocolate takeaways. What is worth it? The exercise is worth it. To be honest, like, I like a gym, but that's not, you know, I'm not, you know, that's okay. Do you know what I mean? So I've actually written what is worth it. Exercise is worth it. So I need to do that, and I want to do that, and I am doing that. And just, like, not beating myself up if I don't manage the full weeks, like you said. So yeah, that's me.
I think that's really interesting, actually, isn't it, that you said exercise? Because if you think about this a year ago, and I said to you, in a year, you're going to be working out 4 to 6 times a week, and you're going to be way less than you did at your wedding, you'd have told me that I was insane. So
especially as I was in shed loads of pain and I could barely pick up my baby last year. So yeah, that's really, oh my god. Yeah, that's huge. That's my why, because I didn't want to be in that state anymore. Like, that wasn't just like my weight, that was obviously the physical, having given birth, postpartum pain, etc., but that is my why. I had to pull myself out of all of that and do what I could to help myself. So yeah, I literally probably would have told you to fuck off, Hannah. I would have gone, you're insane, get up. But yeah.
It's just crazy, isn't it?
In a nice way, obviously.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, it is crazy.
That's awesome. Like, it's really lovely to hear you repeat it, actually, and like to hear back about what you want to do. Like, it's a real gift, isn't it? Like, being able to share this sort of stuff. What about you, Raven? Anything you'd like to share?
Quickly, because we haven't got much time left. Yeah, mine was sort of very similar, except I wasn't postpartum because my kids are all pretty much older, but I had cocooned myself, and I was fat, and I was sick, and I was tired, and I was depressed, and I was at the point of breaking. And one day I just decided enough is enough, and I just need to do something. I had T25 sat in a box that we got years before, didn't use, didn't put in, it was almost new. And that was the start of my journey, and started to do it by myself. And then I reached out and found my coach, who was like, yes, you can do this, and then carried on, lost all the weight. But then my why changed as well, because when I first lost all the weight, I realized that the fat, the sick, and the tired was actually my excuses to keep me in my comfort zone. So they were like reasons why I didn't go out, reasons why I didn't do it. And when that was took away, that was a massive shock, because, like you said, Vicky, I was in this place of, well, what do I do? And that was quite hard. And then went backwards, and I've had to do a lot of personal work to really work through that, to decide who am I going to be, what do I want to do. And now I'm back and moving forwards again, and it's all going good, and it's just great now the way that it is. But yeah, and then so my biggest obstacles is procrastination. I am a massive procrastinator. The way to work around it is I have turned off my Facebook newsfeed, and I'm trying to really zone in and do what I need to do. Get up, take my nutrient-dense food, do the workouts, talk to yous, come on, do the training. And the things I'm willing to give up, not coffee. I will still drink my coffee, but sugary crap, really. Any sort, I'm just over it now. I think we've worked through it. And why is it worth it? Because anybody who's out there who is like me and who is struggling in the same way that I have, being able to say, do you know what, it's okay. We can do this together. We have this great online community, this great family. We're all super friends, and there's people to support you and pull you along. And so that's really my massive why right now. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. I love it. Well, that's it. We'll I'll press stop on this, but thank you so much for sharing. Definitely it's worth going through our whys. I'm going to try and do this like at the beginning of each month for the month ahead, and then use that, even if I whiz through it and it takes me 5 minutes, and then setting some goals for that month, then I can think, I don't have to worry too much about the kind of the bigger term goals as well. But I think just keeping really and addressing that, because it just really keeps your mind focused. And so when I get to those weekends and I'm like, give me the food, I can be like, hold on, because we don't do it enough. So thank you very much. I'm going to press stop.